Welcome in, everyone. We're doing a deep dive today on something I know is on a lot of people's minds these days, the future of AI. We're going to be going deep on two essays that offer some different perspectives on where this is all headed.
Yeah, we're looking at Machines of Loving Grace by Dario Amodei and The Intelligence Age by Sam Altman, both CEOs of some pretty major players in the AI world, by the way.
Exactly. Amodei, of course, over at Anthropic, he's been kind of known for his cautious approach, really focused on AI safety. And then you've got Altman over at OpenAI, and he's been making headlines with some really bold predictions about AI's power to transform, well, everything. So I'm curious, when we talk about AI's potential, are we talking pure optimism here, or is it a little more complicated than that?
I think it's definitely more nuanced than that. Both of these essays do explore the upsides of AI for sure, but they aren't shying away from the complexities either. In fact, Amodei's essay, Machines of Loving Grace, actually takes a pretty interesting turn.
Right. This is the CEO who's been sounding the alarm about AI risk. You'd think he'd really lean into the downsides, but he really dives headfirst into the positive possibilities here. He even says right up front that he doesn't want to sound like some doom and gloom AI propagandist.
Yeah, it's a very deliberate move for sure. And I think it's kind of refreshing, honestly. I mean, his point is that if we only ever focus on the risks, it can be really counterproductive. It creates this sense of fear and paralysis. So he wants to flip the script a little bit, paint a picture of what we could gain if we get this right. A world where we're using these incredibly powerful technologies to actually solve humanity's biggest challenges.
Okay, so Amodei's setting the stage for a more optimistic outlook. But let's get into the specifics here. What exactly is his vision for AI in the future?
Well, he starts by imagining this really powerful AI model, kind of like the large language models we see today. But exponentially smarter, think like Nobel Prize-winning level intelligence, but across pretty much every field imaginable.
Is this AI writing groundbreaking code 1 minute and then composing a symphony the next?
Yeah, basically. And Amodei's point is that this AI wouldn't just be some theoretical genius, it would be able to interact with the world through all kinds of interfaces. Text, audio, video, even physical tools and robots.
So it's not just stuck in a digital box. This thing can actually make stuff happen in the real world.
Sure.
But even with that level of intelligence and capability, one super AI can only do so much, right?
Exactly. And that's where Amodei's vision gets really interesting. He imagines millions of copies of this AI, all housed in this massive data center, working independently or collaboratively at speeds we can barely even comprehend, 10 to 100 times faster than any human. He actually calls it a country of geniuses in a data center, which I think is kind of a cool way to put it.
It's a very vivid image. For sure. It kind of makes you wonder, though, what would this country of geniuses actually be working on? What kind of problems could they solve that we haven't been able to?
Well, Amodei highlights 5 key areas where he thinks these AIs could have a truly transformative impact. The first one is biology and physical health. Think like eradicating infectious diseases, extending the human lifespan, even achieving what he calls biological freedom.
Biological freedom. Okay, now that's a phrase that definitely needs some unpacking. What does that even mean in the context of AI?
So Amodei describes it as basically having complete control over your own biological processes. Imagine being able to effortlessly control your weight or alter your appearance at will, or even slow down or reverse the aging process. It sounds pretty sci-fi, right?
It definitely pushes the boundaries of what we usually consider possible. But Amodei is usually known for being pretty grounded and realistic in his approach to AI. So I'm curious, how does this biological freedom fit into that?
And that's the interesting part. He acknowledges that it's a pretty radical concept, but he argues that if we can really leverage AI's power to understand and manipulate the complexities of biology, it might not be as far-fetched as it seems.
So it's not just about AI curing diseases. It's about AI giving us this unprecedented level of control over our own bodies and our own biology. That's a pretty profound shift in thinking. What's next on Amodei's list of AI-powered transformations?
So next up is neuroscience and mental health. Amodei suggests that AI could potentially cure most mental illnesses, enhance our cognitive abilities, and even eventually make mind uploading a possibility.
Mind uploading. Now we're really getting into the realm of science fiction here. It's both fascinating and a little unsettling, isn't it? What happens to the you in the original body?
That's the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
And Amodei doesn't pretend to have all the answers. He acknowledges that mind uploading, if it's even possible, is probably a long way off. But he argues that if AI can help us unlock the secrets of the human brain, even something as radical as transferring our consciousness into a digital substrate might become conceivable.
Okay, so we've got AI potentially transforming our physical health and even the very nature of our minds. It's a lot to wrap your head around. But Amodei doesn't stop there, does he? He goes on to tackle some of the more immediate challenges facing humanity, like global poverty and economic inequality.
You're right. His third area of focus is economic development and poverty. Amodei believes that AI could be a powerful tool for uplifting developing nations, helping them catch up to the developed world in terms of healthcare, education, and overall quality of life.
So how does he see that playing out? Does he really think AI can solve a problem as complex as global poverty?
Well, he's careful not to oversimplify things. He acknowledges that technology alone can't solve everything. There are deep-seated political, social, and economic factors at play, but he argues that AI could be a game changer in a few key ways.
Like what, for example?
Well, he talks about AI optimizing healthcare delivery in underserved communities. Imagine AI-powered diagnostic tools that can be used even in remote areas without access to specialist doctors, or AI-driven systems that can analyze vast amounts of agricultural data to improve crop yields and combat hunger.
It sounds like he sees AI as this great equalizer, a tool that can help level the playing field and create a more equitable world.
Exactly. And his fourth area of focus gets even more into that territory. It's peace and governance. Amodei believes that AI could play a crucial role in promoting global peace and upholding human rights.
Okay, now that's an interesting one. How does he see AI achieving that?
Well, he suggests that a coalition of democracies armed with advanced AI technologies could act as a powerful force against authoritarian regimes, deterring conflict and promoting democratic values.
So AI, as a force for good on the international stage, it's a compelling vision, but it also feels a little fragile. What's to stop those authoritarian regimes from developing their own AI and using it for less noble purposes?
Yeah, that's the double-edged sword of any powerful technology, right? And Amodei doesn't shy away from that. He acknowledges that AI could also be misused for things like propaganda surveillance and even oppression.
It's a sobering reminder that AI is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill. Which brings us to Amodei's final area of focus, work, and meaning. It's the age-old question, if machines can do everything, what will be left for humans?
It's a question that feels especially relevant in the age of AI, which has the potential to automate so many jobs that are currently done by humans. But Amodei doesn't see this as a dystopian scenario. In fact, he argues that it could lead to a more fulfilling and meaningful existence for humans.
Really? How so?
He believes that by automating many of the tasks that we currently do out of economic necessity, AI could free us up to pursue our passions, explore our creativity, and focus on building deeper human connections. He envisions a future where work is less about survival and more about self-discovery and fulfillment.
It's an interesting perspective. Instead of fearing AI as this job-stealing threat, he's framing it as a tool that could liberate us from the daily grind, allowing us to focus on what truly makes us human. But it's still a massive societal shift.
It is, and it's one that we need to start thinking about now before these technologies become so advanced that we're caught off guard.
So Amodei paints a very detailed picture of a world transformed by AI.
Yeah.
But it's not some utopian fantasy. He's realistic about the challenges and the potential downsides, but ultimately he seems cautiously optimistic about the future, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. He sees enormous potential for AI to solve problems and improve our lives, but he emphasizes that realizing this potential requires careful planning, ethical considerations, and a proactive approach to shaping the development and deployment of these technologies.
Essentially, he's saying that the future of AI is not predetermined. It's up to us to steer it in a direction that benefits all of humanity.
Exactly. Now, while Amodei takes this deep dive into specific areas where AI could have a major impact, Sam Altman, in his essay, The Intelligence Age, takes a broader view. He argues that we're on the cusp of a new era, one defined by AI-driven advancements that will fundamentally reshape society as a whole.
It's not just about specific applications of AI. It's about a fundamental shift in how we live, work, and interact with the world around us. He even gives this new era a name, the Intelligence Age. It's a pretty bold claim. What leads him to believe that we're on the verge of such a profound transformation?
Altman points to the recent advancements in deep learning as a key driver of this new era. He argues that deep learning's ability to learn from massive amounts of data, coupled with the exponential growth in computing power, has unlocked the potential for AI to solve problems that were previously considered insurmountable.
So he's saying that we've reached a tipping point where the combination of data algorithms and computing power is finally unleashing the true power of AI.
Exactly. And he believes this will have a profound impact on virtually every aspect of our lives. For example, he envisions AI becoming deeply integrated into our daily routines in the form of personalized AI assistants.
Okay, so not just Siri or Alexa, but something far more advanced.
Right. These AI assistants wouldn't just be scheduling appointments or playing music, they'd be helping us make complex decisions, managing our finances, optimizing our health, and even connecting us with like-minded individuals. They'd essentially become extensions of ourselves, augmenting our abilities and freeing up our time and mental energy for more creative and fulfilling pursuits.
It's an interesting vision.
Yeah.
But it also raises the question of control, doesn't it? If we're relying on AI to make so many decisions for us, are we surrendering too much autonomy? Are we at risk of becoming overly dependent on these digital assistants?
Those are valid concerns, and Altman doesn't dismiss them. He acknowledges that as AI becomes more powerful and pervasive, we need to be mindful of the potential risks and challenges.
So it's not just about blindly embracing every new AI advancement.
Right.
It's about being thoughtful and discerning about how we integrate these technologies into our lives and society.
Exactly. And Altman stresses the importance of ensuring that AI is developed and used responsibly, ethically, and in a way that benefits all of humanity.
It's a message that echoes Amodei's call for caution and foresight in navigating this new era of AI. Both CEOs seem to agree that we're at a crossroads, a pivotal moment in history, where the choices we make now will have far-reaching consequences.
There's a shared sense of urgency in their message. They're both saying that we can't afford to be complacent or passive in the face of these rapid advancements.
It's not just about the technology itself. It's about how we choose to shape and direct its development and deployment. And that's a responsibility that falls on all of us. But before we get too ahead of ourselves, let's rewind a bit. We've talked about the potential benefits of AI, but both Amodei and Altman acknowledge that there are also risks, right?
Absolutely. And understanding those risks is just as important as getting caught up in the hype.
So let's talk about those risks. What are some of the potential downsides of this intelligence age that Altman seems so sure is coming?
Well, one of his biggest concerns is that AI could actually make existing inequalities even worse. His argument is that if we're not careful, AI could end up concentrating even more wealth and power in the hands of just a select few, leaving everyone else behind.
It's like the rich get richer problem, but on steroids, with AI amplifying those disparities.
Exactly. Imagine a world where only the people who can already afford it have access to the most advanced AI tools and technologies. It creates this widening gap between the haves and the have-nots. And it's not just about money either. Think about access to things like healthcare education, even political influence. AI could create all these new digital divides that are even harder to bridge than the ones we're dealing with now.
Yeah, that's a pretty bleak picture. And it's not just about AI widening the gap between the rich and the poor either, right? Altman is also concerned about the potential for AI to concentrate power in the hands of governments and corporations.
Absolutely. He argues that AI could easily be used for mass surveillance propaganda, even social control, potentially leading to a future where individual freedoms are severely restricted. I mean, we're already seeing glimpses of this right now with things like facial recognition technology and social media algorithms being used to manipulate people's behavior. Now imagine those technologies becoming even more powerful and more widespread, driven by AI systems that can predict and exploit our every move.
That's definitely a dystopian vision. That's not hard to imagine given the way things are going with technology these days. But Altman doesn't just throw up his hands and say all is lost. He does offer some potential solutions, right?
He does. He really emphasizes how important democratic values and institutions will be in navigating this new era. He argues that things like transparency, accountability, and citizen participation are going to be absolutely crucial to make sure that AI is used to benefit everyone, not just a select few.
So it's not just about building ethical AI, it's about building a more ethical and equitable society at the same time.
Yep.
One that can actually stand up to the potential downsides of these really powerful technologies.
Exactly. And that requires a real shift in mindset, not just from the technologists and the policymakers, but from all of us. We need to start thinking critically about the values that we're baking into the AI systems we create and use. And we need to demand that those systems are designed and used in a way that actually aligns with our shared values and goals.
It's like a call to action for everyone, not just the tech industry. We can't afford to just sit back and be passive consumers of these technologies. We need to be active participants in shaping the future we want to see.
And that future, as both Amodei and Altman emphasize, is not already written. It's something that we're all creating right now through the choices we make, the conversations we have, and the actions we take.
So to wrap things up, it sounds like the biggest takeaway here is that we're not just along for the ride when it comes to AI. We all have a role to play in shaping its impact on the world.
Absolutely. We can't just sit back and marvel at its potential or be afraid of the risks. We need to be having these thoughtful and nuanced conversations about the kind of future we want to build with AI.
And those conversations need to include everyone, right? not just the engineers and the tech CEOs. It's got to be a global conversation that takes into account all the different perspectives and potential consequences.
Exactly. The future of AI is ultimately a reflection of our own values and choices. So it's up to all of us to make sure it's a future we can all be proud of.
Well said. That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the future of AI. It's a topic that's definitely not going away anytime soon, so we'll be sure to revisit it again down the road.